As I'm sure most of you know, Phoenix recently got buffed. The changes include swapping his signature from Molly to Flash, as well as only having to tap his fire to heal the full amount. He can also now send his flame barrier through walls, which is, pretty cool. Initially, I had thought that this was more of a nerf to him, as having access to 2 or 3 Mollies in a round has been very, very nice. Sacrificing the Molly for a flash or 2, it just didn't really make sense when you were likely to get chipped out. And this is why I initially had a very negative outlook on these changes. In my eyes, this was a crucial change to help Phoenix fit just a bit better into the landscape of Valorant. You can clearly see they've been added to make Phoenix do what he has to do, just faster. Faster flashes, a wall that can go through objects, and now Sage Heal when you touch his fire. All of this just makes it so Phoenix is just a bit more fluid and fits the current landscape of Valorant, being a fast-paced game, just a little bit better. Getting flashes back means you can continue to press the fight and keep the pressure on the enemy. The new wall allows for better and more optimal combos, and the new healing mechanic means you don't have to stay stationary after healing, and you can fall back to a stronger flash zone while your Molly still blocks off a choke. These slight changes, while small on paper, actually help quite a bit in the grand scheme of a full round. Combining utility is now better than ever, and here's a couple examples that I have for you. This wall on Haven A site is amazing when used in tandem with a well-placed flash, as it gives them nearly no time to react and also gives you cover after you get into hell, preventing you from getting traded. You can also very easily flash back through the wall and take another fight if you're alone. On Abyss, I created this lineup to easily kill anyone backside B. You throw the Molly here and run up and reverse flash, and they will be standing in this small gap created by the Molly. Get creative with it though, because util dumping with Phoenix is actually pretty good now, and since your flash is recharged, if you end up getting a few kills, you can easily continue your pressure with extra flashes. So I hope by now you can see that Phoenix is a lot more versatile due to these changes. And, maybe I was a bit of a fool, perhaps, to say otherwise. So, good job, I guess, Riot. Let's get into some tips on how you can actually put Phoenix to good use. Phoenix Wall is a lot better now, so here's how to use it. Vertical walling to trap enemies can be amazing, and I do it pretty often to isolate certain fights. Sometimes I'll throw this wall here with a Molly to trap players that I know are hell while I fight for space on site. Phoenix Wall also used to be a lot more claustrophobic, and what I mean by that is now that we can wall with more versatility, we can expand the space we immediately have control of through the use of the wall. Instead of walling at a B main on split like this, you can wall here instead. This gives your team control of pillar instead of funneling your team to site while you fight alone through the wall. It also allows you to save a flash that you would previously use to go through your wall here, and you can now just use a single flash to clear all of this. You can also use it as a flood smoke. This flood smoke here on A site Haven can be very strong on retakes, yet a lot of controllers fail to use it at the lower ranks. You can also wall through here to easily help your team flood out, and combine it with this simple Molly and flash. By the way, you can kill enemies with your flame barrier. It's pretty hard, but it can be done. In this clip, you can see I spot a Clove Decay coming out, but I have no Molly, so I throw my wall to kill the Sova here. This is more of something just to keep in mind in case you get in a situation like this. It's not really something you should be looking to do. I just didn't have a Molly, so I used my wall instead. You can also break Cypher trips pretty easily with your wall, be it on attack or even defense, to fake a flank and pressure as the attackers hit a site. For example, if you know the Cypher keeps setting up this C trip, you can break it with your wall to fake presence. You can even introduce some mind games with this. What I mean by that is if you know that the enemy is seeing your wall breaking the trip, you can continue on to flank, as they might ignore the trip break if they know your wall did it. On attack, this can be very good, as you can break the trip while walling at the same time, then go straight into an entry with your ult or just a flash. Also, don't forget, you can stop defusals with the wall, and you can cancel enemy util, such as a Sova drone or like a Gecko ult or something. Also, keep in mind that the wall has some weird clipping issues. Here's how to fix it sometimes. So since the wall can go through walls, it has made the issues with it a lot more obvious. You'll have issues like this on all maps, but Abyss specifically is very bad. There are ways to wall across gaps like this. I have a vent lineup I use to cross mid safely, but some areas, such as A site here, will have a very pronounced gap, so make sure you're not walling over the gaps and instead curving the wall next to them. Other maps can also be very bad. Just note that if you are standing directly against a wall and throwing your flame barrier, you will almost always have this gap. You can use this to your advantage to get some goofy peeks in, but it's best to stand a bit back from the wall to get rid of the gap semi-consistently. You can also aim up, shake your mouse back and forth. Those things I've noticed sometimes have an impact on it. Just be aware that the gap will be there sometimes, and you're just gonna have to learn to play around it. There's a clip here where it kind of got my team killed. I'll play it real quick. I'm gonna wall off the left side, scale to elbow like immediately.
Oh, you flash?
Going up. Dizzy's up top. They shot him.
Oh, crap.
So yeah, just try and play around it. For the time being, hopefully it gets fixed eventually, but for the time being, just be aware that this can be an issue with the wall for now. And for our final tip for the wall, we have walling for your teammates. It's very simple. I've said this one a few times before, but it's important to never forget that your wall can be used to get teammates out of areas they may be stuck in. Think of it as just using a jet smoke for somebody to get out, right? I use this all the time, and it works super well to help a teammate out if they may be stuck somewhere. Also, bonus tip, you can full stick a defuse behind your wall, in case anyone was curious. I'm gonna briefly touch on the molly, since we only have one of them now, so you really have to think about what you're doing with it. Instead of just using it to heal for a little bit of health, use it instead to maybe flush out an angle, or to stop an enemy from peeking, as this can save you a lot more health than you would have gotten from just a heal. Think about it like that. You can use the molly to heal, but would you find more value by using it to prevent you from straight up dying or taking a lot of damage from a peek? Wrapping a smoke is what it's called when you molly it off, or similarly throw a piece of intel utility into it, like such as a cage or something, so it plays an audible cue so they can't push through the smoke. All it does is it just makes it harder for enemies to push through that smoke, so you can focus on other things. I'll usually wrap this heaven smoke on split, since people love to flood out while you're trying to take site control. You can similarly do this with your wall for free for the same effect, and proceed to flash through the wall, or you can molly off a segment of your wall like this and flash through a different area. Something I've been doing a lot lately is using it to clear out a smoke. So if I want to push a smoke but the enemy has been playing in smokes often, sometimes I'll throw a molly before pushing into it. Oftentimes when I do this, I'll proceed to flash out of the smoke afterwards, but do whatever you want. One final tip for the molly is to molly off enemy peaks. I played against another Phoenix 1 trick in ranked, and he did this quite a bit, and it really got me to thinking that I don't use my molly for this as often as I should be. It was really annoying to play against this. So while you're running out onto a site, a lot of times there will be a decision of two different angles to look at. So throw your molly at one of them and look at the other. This can be just a very quick snap decision you can make with your molly instead of just chucking it somewhere random on site. Bonus points if you scale through your molly while staring at the other angle and then proceed to flash through and like clear something out or something like that, you know? Moving on, we have our generalized Phoenix tips. We're going to talk about these, and then we'll talk about some mistakes that Phoenix players make towards the end of the video. Oh, also, I forgot to plug this, but I'm live on Twitch right now, so stop by if you want to. So a lot of times, you'll want to fight before flashing. This will allow you to back up, flash, and re-engage to kill the player that's attempting to trade. I like to just hold an off angle, maybe get a kill, fall back to a safer spot, and flash anyone that may be trying to run up and trade. If you know the enemy is deeper into the angle and not able to easily trade, you can just instantly flash after securing the kill, and then you can take the fight. Also, this is an important tip, so listen up. If you're a flash player, especially if you're a Phoenix player, you will die to full blind enemies at least once a game, at least. In my chat, people are constantly asking how to prevent this. Short answer, you can't, really, but there are some steps you can take if you notice you're dying often to full blind opponents. You have the option to flash twice. This causes the enemy to panic spray even more, and this is my preferred way to avoid dying to flashed enemies. You can delay your peak slightly, but I don't like this one as much because it really cuts down on the time to capitalize on your flash. Also, when you're double flashing into an angle, a lot of times you will flash somebody that was already playing anti-flash. So on the second flash, that will usually reblind the person that's blind and then proceed to flash the person that was playing anti-flash. So keep that in mind as well. Back onto topic though, you can also consider jumping into the angle with your flash. This also cuts down on the time you're given in a fight, but I find it pretty good sometimes. You can XDR flash into an angle where you throw it against a wall and swing with your flash. And you can also reverse flash and swing. These are all good ways to stop dying to flashed enemies. You can get a little bit creative, mix and match like different types of peaks. Like you can jump with a reverse flash, walk with a bank flash, delay your peak with a bank flash, any of these, right? Just mix it up. Don't always throw the standard flash. That is probably one of the main reasons you will be dying to flashed enemies. When I die to a flashed enemy, it's because I threw a general flash. But that doesn't mean you should never use it, so keep that in mind as well. Also, one big thing is high flashing is very underrated. Flashing high over obstacles is something I rarely see Phoenix players doing, but it's really good. If you're fighting someone that's on the other side of a box, you can flash over it to easily blind them. Another great way to use flashes over objects is to fake a peek with them. I'll flash like this over the boxes on Haven, then circle back to the other side to fight them. When you get flashed, most players' initial reaction will be to either spray or retreat away from where they got flashed, giving them time to recover and fight. Flashing like this shows your intention of fighting from the front of the box, but if you go to the back of the box, you can almost always take them off guard. I do this all the time, and it does work against good players. Also, keep in mind that your ult is an amazing tool at your disposal. Just make sure you're not afraid to use it for simple things such as grabbing a gun, grabbing a spike, stuff like that when it's in a suboptimal position. You can even use it to just get a little bit of health back, but the key for spending this ult and knowing when to do it is if there's a decent chance it'll help you win the round. If there is, then spend it. It's only 6 orbs. You can get that in 2 rounds, or even the next round, really, if you're on top of things. You guys hear that? Okay, so we're here on Haven. In my notes, it says to just ramble on about these next 5 points that I have here. We're on the common Phoenix mistakes right now. The main thing I see with Phoenix players is dumping their entire kit to heal. Throwing your molly, throwing your wall, all that for a little bit of healing, right? This is almost never worth it. I'll do it on occasion, right? Don't get me wrong. I'll do this sometimes. But you really want to make sure you're only using one of these 2 for a heal. If you only have one of them left, really think about what you could accomplish with that piece of util before spending it to heal. I will heal with molly pretty often. I try to not heal with wall though. The thing is, a lot of the times when you need to heal, now with the changes especially, you can kind of just throw your wall and you can make it do 2 things at once. You can block off an angle with it, and you can heal with it, right? So let's say I wanted to like kind of scale out here, okay? I would block off this angle with my wall anyways, so I could probably just like run up here and touch it. That's kind of a bad example because there's a gap there. I didn't do it right. But just an example of something you could do, right? Just throwing your wall like this, tapping it for the heal, and then proceeding on the backside, flashing around, fighting, stuff like that, right? Another thing is healing while your team is fighting. Please stop doing this if you're a Phoenix player. Okay, please. If you take a little bit of chip here, you lose like 40, 50 health. Don't just like run up here and heal while your team is going out onto site. Go out onto site with them. Secure the site. If you die, you die. But if you end up getting the site, heal after the fight, man. Don't back up here, run away, tail tucked, and then heal. Okay, that's embarrassing. Don't do that. Another big mistake with Phoenix players is only doing predictable flash zones. So like flashing out into here. This is super, super predictable. You want to make sure you're changing up where you're flashing, and you want to change up the timings of it. When I did my last streamer video when I was playing against streamers, a lot of times that I would flash enemies, they were like really confused as to why I was flashing when I was flashing. And a lot of the times I was doing it is because I was throwing off the timing so much because they obviously know where most Phoenix players are going to flash out of. So I try and throw off my timings. I almost never, this is like the most common area for Phoenix to flash out of in this specific map, and it usually happens like 5 or 6 seconds into the round. So usually the way I play this personally is I'll just wait like right here for like 20-30 seconds, even if I know there's people there, and then I will finally flash out, take a fight, like super delayed. I'll take my fight, I'll fall back in, I'll like run back here or something, maybe throw a molly, heal with it for a little bit, and then I'll just sit here with my flash out. If somebody's here, even better, right? And then I can just flash back into the angle if someone's trying to come in and fight me, and I should be able to get at least 1 free kill here. Now, another major problem I see with Phoenix players is just improper molly use. Like throwing it like this. You know, this doesn't really accomplish much at all. They can still swing here. They can't swing further back, which is still good, but they can still swing this angle. Well, I've watched a lot of VODs of just Phoenix players. And a lot of them just kind of like when they're running up onto site, they'll kind of just chuck it like that. And then they'll just start fighting and going all hog wild, you know? Really have a plan for where your molly's going. You want to throw your molly and it actually accomplishes something. It's very important that you are accomplishing something with your molly. Throw it like this. Look at that. Back plat or top plat is completely mollied out. Perfect, you know? Doesn't have to be this specifically, but just think about what you're doing. All right, so make sure you have a plan for this molly, right? So let's say I don't have a wall and I want to scale onto site with my team. I will molly this off here so they can't be on top of logs and they can't push through. I will flash like this, clear out this box while my team scales site. And then I'm assuming this is smoked off as well. So I can kind of just scale up along this. I know logs is clear at this point because I mollied it. And flash back around this box, clear back site, and then stare at the CT smoke and then choose where I want to play. Simple as that. So this leads us into our biggest and most important tip for the video is having a plan and a backup plan for your utility. This is very, 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 very important. And I haven't talked much about it, but you really need to think about where you are using your utility in the coming round and why. Here's what I mean, right? Let's say we are taking B. I already have come up with a plan for the util in my mind, okay? I'm going to flash out of window to help my team get out of window, okay? I'm going to run up. I'm going to wall off this left side. I'm going to molly the link here. And then I'm going to flash through my wall here and start taking this area of sight and clearing out like back sight and whatnot while my team scales the other way. So have a plan. I just kind of came up with that really quick, but this is the way I wanted to play it. So this is what I'm doing. I'll tell my team that, hey, I'm going to wall left side. I'm going to flash it. I'm going to flash out window. So come with me. Stuff like that. Have a plan for your util and have a backup plan as well. You don't need a backup plan every round, but it's good to have, especially if you're on defense and you can get overwhelmed really quick and you need to fall back. So a lot of times when I'm fighting like this, my plan for the round will be to take a fight, fall back, molly it, and then just sit here and sit at this angle. If I know they're running through my molly, which they do pretty often, I will swing out, spray, fall back again because by the time I've killed them, my molly's finally gone. Flash back in, get another kill, and then I can fall back here. Or, since I've probably gotten 2 kills, I can flash back in again and take more fights. Garage is a melting ground for Phoenix. It is so, so good. A lot of my clips you will see in my videos are just in garage. I have gotten so many 4K aces just in garage, people trying to push me. Because it's just such a strong area for Phoenix. And the way I make it so strong is this first initial fight is so, so important. Is getting like some sort of initial fight off, whether you're playing here, whether you're playing here, anything, right? This initial fight is really important. If they're shutting down your initial fight, one thing you can do is you can kind of play at this angle and wait for them. Like, let's say they're droning you off this angle, they're flashing you off. The way I like to play, if that's happening to me, is I wait for that drone or dog, and the second I hear it, I throw a molly, and they almost always push through it, and then I just flash, and I get a free kill, back up, flash again. So much you can do in here with Phoenix. Flashing up here is good. Flashing here is good. Mollying this is amazing. Mollying this is also very good. You can molly this, fall back. If they're trying to run through it, you can flash back in, take a fight, fall to the other side, fall back to site. So much you can do. Just have a plan. That's all I'm saying, right? Think about what your util does and how you can use it to win you a round. And think ahead. Don't just think about one kill. Think about the next kill. Think about what you're doing after the first, second, and third kill. That's usually what I try to plan for when I'm in a round, is like, I usually think at least 2 kills in advance. And then I can kind of just make stuff up as I go from that point on. But at least plan for at least 2 kills. I think that's a pretty good standard for you to do. You don't want to be thinking about only getting 1 kill and then you're just dead. You know, you don't want to be a one and done player. You want to go for at least 2 or 3 or maybe even 4, you know? You want to maximize your impact on the round. And the way you do that is by having a plan of action that you can follow through the round. This isn't just Phoenix. This is just the game as a whole. But with Phoenix, with the way his util works, it's all very self-sufficient. So you can kind of formulate a plan in your mind and just go with it that round. Just make sure you don't always have to have one, but make sure you have some sort of backup plan, as it can very, very greatly help you if you get overwhelmed in some type of way and you need to fall back. So formulating plans like this in your brain will be very, very helpful for you as a player, and especially as a Phoenix player. Sorry if I rambled a lot. That's what the notes told me to do, was to ramble on in a custom. So that's what I'm doing for you guys. Aside from that, I think that's pretty much the end of the video. If you guys have any comments, I tried to touch on as many things as I could in this video, but I know I definitely missed some things. So please, if you do have questions, let me know in the comments and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. We are live right now, so feel free to stop by if you want to come in and say hello. If you do, I appreciate it. If not, that's cool, I guess. Aside from that, though, my older Phoenix guide still holds up to this day, and it goes over a lot more fundamental, standard Phoenix play that is pretty essential to know. So please, if this video helped you, but there were some things that went over your head, please refer to my last Phoenix guide. It will be linked and up on the screen right now. I have a few, so I'll be linking a couple of them at least. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please take care of yourself, and until next time.